The FedEx Cup playoffs are so big. They're so good. 4 days was not enough to complete the very first event. It took 5, but we're back with it. Week number 2. He is Travis Fulton. I am the coach. Welcome into Cash Out with the Coaches. And Trav, 1,975 days since TonyFinau raised any type of trophy. He got it done in a playoff over Cam Smith. He moves to number 1 in the playoff standings. How impressed were you with how TonyFinau finished and got the job done?
Well, I think I saw a tweet. It said it took a hurricane to get TonyFinau back into the winner's circle. And it did. It postponed Sunday, moved it to Monday. No fans. And perhaps that's what he needed, right? Coach, it was looking like a Finau on the front 9, the 2 par 5s, 6, 8, hard pulls off the tee, scrambles for par on 6, hits a vanilla bunker shot, leaves it in the bunker on 8, makes bogey. And I'm like, oh my gosh, here we go again. But then he regrouped. He told his caddy, he's like, look, I got to get it to 20 under. Let's do this. And he said in his post game, which I love, he said, I need to be more aggressive. I've got to be more aggressive. I got to make sure I get the ball to the hole. Got to get after the flags a little bit more. 5 birdies, shoots 30 coming in, gets into the playoff. 2 big shots that are the difference. One, the putt, of course, on the 72nd hole from 6 feet to stay at 20 under. That was big. And then the drive in the playoff, right down the middle, put the pressure on Cam Smith. He steps up, hits it out of bounds. Those are the kinds of things that we've been missing from Finau late. 30 on the back 9. Make the big putt to get in. Put the pressure on your opponent off the tee. And he did all those things. I couldn't be happier for TonyFinau, who finally, you got to give him his credit. You've been tough on him, Coach.
I know.
Finally got the job done.
Well, there's a reason I've been tough on him. 11 top 3s. 11 top 3s without raising a trophy. And I hate the narrative that this is his second PGA Tour win. Yes, he won one, but it was an off-field event. It wasn't even in the continental United States. It was in Puerto Rico. So to me, this is the first time, and it's against one of the best fields in all of golf. He did it at an incredibly important time, and I noticed his demeanor was different than what we normally see. He looked very stoic. He looked very focused. He almost looked like he was angry when he was playing golf, and I'd love to see that.
Yeah,
I want to see that. How many times have I told you, I want to see a killer. I want to see somebody go out there, step on a throat, and leave the foot there and win a golf tournament. He did that yesterday. And Cam Smith did everything that he could possibly do. And I think to your point of the striped tee shot on the extra hole, that leads to pressure. Because those guys know how important that tee shot is, because that hole is so difficult. It was so hard. Even a perfect drive, you're still hitting it in from over 200 yards. Yeah. And so he goes out. He didn't even have to basically finish. Cam didn't even finish the hole, and then he gets it done. So congratulations to TonyFinau. We would be remiss, Trav, if we do not point out JonRahm had the lead for 4.5 days. It was his tournament to win. Yeah. And he, the number 1 player in the world, he faltered down the stretch.
Yeah, he did. It was a little uncharacteristic down the stretch. It just goes into the adage how difficult it is to win. I mean, JonRahm played exceptional golf. You can go back to Saturday, the par 5 on the back 9. He goes for it in 2. Coach, he hadn't missed a shot yet, I don't think, up to that point.
Nope.
And he hits, I think, 3-iron. And he hits it and starts walking immediately. Like, he striped it perfect right at the flagstick. Comes up a foot short and goes in the water.
Yep.
If that ball carries another foot, it's probably 10 feet. He might make eagle. That's a 4-shot swing. And that's the first shot that I can remember that he basically missed. And it cost him, in theory, at least 3, probably 4 shots. So, look, I mean, JonRahm is playing so good. I was a little concerned coming in. Would he have a little rust after a month off? I mean, he just comes in. I mean, he's aiming left, hitting this little baby cut off the tee. He's hitting as hard as he can. His distance control with his wedges is superb. His putting stroke looks fantastic. JonRahm is poised and is going to be a dog here to beat in the next 2 weeks.
You know what I thought when he went in the water? I thought a lot of different things, but I thought if this is how he's going to miss, he's going to be incredibly difficult to beat. So when I watched his post-round press conference on Sunday or Monday, I thought it was interesting. He didn't point out the bad chip on 16. He didn't point out the bad drive on 18. He didn't point any of that out. Mm-hmm. What did he point out? He said, I should have had a bigger lead when I made those mistakes, because he understands you're going to make mistakes. Yeah. And his mistakes came at the end of the golf tournament while other people's came on Friday or Saturday, not him. And I thought that was a very fascinating take on his own game, that he wasn't blaming the bad shots, because we know they're going to come. He was blaming the fact that his lead wasn't big enough to absorb those bad shots. And that's being the number one player in the world. I'd be very, very scared if I'm the rest of this field heading into the BMW, where he's the defending champion, and then heading into the Tour Championship, because he's going to have to falter in order to get beat. And that's a daunting task if you're another player, is it not?
Yeah, I mean, I think if JonRahm plays his game like we saw really for 2.5 days, and then the one shot cost him big time. And that's what happens when you go in the water and you lose, you get a stroke and the distance. I mean, he can only drop it another 30 yards. So that was a big blow. That's probably what he was referring to, though, was that shot. I should have had a bigger lead.
I agree.
But I think JonRahm's maturing. This is all part of it with Rahm. You know, he can run hot under the collar. He's been working on these things. He knows now, I think, it's not going to go your way sometimes. And he faltered, and he kind of took it on the chin, and it's all part of the maturation. It's like, okay, let's get right back on the horse and let's keep going, because I am the best player in the world. JonRahm knows right now he is the best player in the world. Yes, Finau won. It's a great story. I think it was bound to happen. I always felt Finau would get another win, just because he's going to continue to put himself in the situation over and over and over and over again. And it's something like this bound to fall his way. And it finally did. So the one thing we know for sure, I think Rahm's going to continue to go. I think the bigger question is will Finau turn the corner and become a 7, 8, 9 winner, type of winner in his career? Because we know he can do that. Can he start now to win one every single year and maybe win two, like we've seen a Kokrak do, like we've seen a Harris English do? And he's every bit the player those two guys are. It's just that situation has held him back. Rising up, he did it in New Jersey. Let's see if he can now build on that, have some confidence. And one would think, yeah, I think he will win again and win again soon in his career.
All right. Well, along those same lines, let's spin it forward now. Let's look forward to week 2. And this is going to be a golf course that people at home are going to be very, very unfamiliar with. There have been some big tournaments there before, but not on the PGA Tour. We're talking 1960s, right? So the Senior Tour has played there. LPGA Tour has played there. Several players in the field played there like 14, 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. But to the people watching at home, a very, very new course. So as we spin it forward, top 70, 6 players moved in. That means 6 players dropped out. Alex Noren, Eric Van Rooyen, Tom Hogue, Harold Varner III, Keith Mitchell, and Harry Higgs. Congratulations to those 6. They played well enough. Keith Mitchell, the most dynamic, he had to birdie the final 3 holes to get in right on the number. And so 6 fall out, including Matthew Wolff. But now the top 70, it's a chance, Trav, to get some really good numbers, which we'll get to. But give the people at home kind of a little preview of what this course will feature, and also the players that we can watch, the style that could do well at this course.
Well, I think if you go back to Olympia Fields, where it was last year, it was very difficult. The rough was way up. And JonRahm, speaking of, won it in that playoff against DJ, awesome. Shooting 4 under. 4 under, keep in mind, won this last year. Now, before that, we've seen the BMW 2019, JT won at 25 under, Keegan won in 18 at 20 under, Leash 23, Dustin Johnson 23, Day 22. That's what the tour, I think, wants to see. They want to see these top players go well into the 20s. They want to see birdies here at the BMW. I think we're going to get back to that. I think Caves Valley has a little bit more room off the tee. I talked to Fred Funk quite a bit this morning, and Fred's from Maryland. He's played in that Champions Tour event that you talked about. He thinks Caves Valley is the best course in Maryland.
Wow.
Even better than Congressional.
Wow.
And I think when you look at Caves Valley, 7,500 yards, par 72, I think you're going to see it. I don't think it's going to play overly long. I think it's going to be fairly generous off the tee. I don't think the rough is going to be as long as we saw last year at Olympia Fields. I think it'll be there. But I think from there, let the approach game go to work. Let's find the putter. And let's get this thing well into the 20s, making lots of birdies. So when I see this, I hear these things coming from top players. It just says to me, grab the driver. Let's give it some red ass. Let's hit it as far as we can. And then let's let the approach game go to work, proximity to the hole, and make some putts. So I think we're going to get back here. Lots of birdies favoring those American players that can really get it out there with length. I think this course is going to fit right into him.
I watched a podcast with Pat Perez 2 weeks ago, and he was talking about the courses that the tour plays. He's like, we do not play the best courses on the planet. We just don't. He said, you can't shoot 2,500 and play the best courses on the planet. I would like to see a mix of, yes, fairways you can score, but give me some rough, because the PGA Tour is really leading into golf betting. And when you're looking at golf betting as part of how you set up a course, and this to me is how you have to think about these things. You've got to give the players a chance to move backwards. And if you don't have any rough and you're not penalizing them in the rough, that can lead to a bogey or a 6 or a 7. To me, you're kind of taking things away from the players that are playing really well. There's no separation there. So I hope that they make the rough a little bit higher, but I do agree with you that they want really high scores or really low scores, and so they tend to set it up like that. But this is the playoffs,
well,
right? We got two weeks left is all we got.
I mean, though, but like you look at last year at Olympia Fields, I mean, high rough, tough course. It's Rahm and DJ in the playoffs. I mean, it's the best players are going to rise to the top no matter what. And look, I think this course 75, I don't think it's going to play that long. They didn't get the rain that you saw up in Jersey and New York. Like I think the ball is definitely going to be running out a little bit more here at Caves. So I don't think the distance is going to be a major issue. I think I just think the best players at this point, they're rising. I mean, when you start getting the best players in the field every single week now, this is what you're going to get.
I agree. I also look at it, farther down where like a Harold Varner against a Joel Damon. I'm just throwing names out there. You got to have separation there. But the competition committee may not look at it that way. And I'm sure they don't look at it that way. They look at it, how do we set it up the best way? So, all right. So now that we know that Caves Valley is the destination, I'm very excited for a new course. I think that will even things out just a little bit. Let's get into our picks for the week. So here is what we normally do. We take a fictional $100. We make 5 different picks, 2 head-to-heads, a top 20, a tournament winner, and a wild card play. We have been very, very good on our head-to-head matchups the last couple of months. So with that being said, and this is also a way, Trav, where you can get a lot of good value because of so many good players.
Yeah.
They have to give you better numbers to separate the bets. So with that being said, please give me your first head-to-head matchup for the BMW Championship.
Well, I'm going to get back on Spieth. I know he probably scared a few people last week, plus 125. Let me say that again. Jordan Spieth plus 125 over Victor Hovland, who couldn't even get through the round with his putter. Without breaking it, I think on the 9th hole, which,
yes,
when you look at it, that's just kind of days and days, weeks of frustration with the chilly putter. Hovland's putting hasn't been good. His short game seems to be slipping back to where it was, which is, very iffy. I don't think it's leaked quite yet into his full swing, which we'll see from time to time when those, chilly putters sustain themselves. But right now, Hovland, I don't think is quite on point, and particularly around and on the greens. A little uncharacteristic for him, I think, breaking a putter. Certainly some frustration going on. I don't really look too much into the 73rd finish for Spieth. He had back-to-back triples. Spieth's probably played this course more than anybody to this point. It's a course he's talked about in his press conference and some stuff that he's done with Under Armour here. So he's been around this place. He likes this place. I think he just kind of looks past last week, gets back on the horse. And to me, Jordan Spieth is mano a mano, the better player over Hovland.
I could not believe this number when I saw it. But a lot of times Vegas and the matchmakers, they look at the year or they look at, the last 2 or 3 months, and that's how they decide these numbers. Hovland, for people who don't realize, this is a staggering insight by me, and not that I figured it out, but he was tied with TonyFinau heading into the final round on Monday, and he ended up losing by 13, 14 shots. Think about that for a second. He was tied with TonyFinau. So he's playing really good golf, but he's hitting it good, but he's putting like crap. He also, according to some, injured 3 or 4 of his other clubs in the bag. So he's got to fix those this week too, which I know they can, but I love this play. I almost made it myself. All right. My first one is I'm banking on Colin Morikawa's back to continue to be bad. I can only hear all the golf bettors out there. When Dottie Pepper said on the podcast, so I was talking to Colin Morikawa's team, and he was saying, the back that he suffered in Tokyo is still bothering him. How did we not know that? How do we not know? He's kept it very close to the vest. Backs don't fix themselves in a week. DJ can fix himself in a week. Give me DJ minus 105. Lock it in. I believe Colin Morikawa may miss the cut again if his back is not any better, because you could tell he was really affected in his swing, and the way that he played just wasn't himself.
Are we going to a place now where you think there's going to be an injury report that's going to have to come out with the gambling and everything now?
No. Because they're individual contractors, they're not part of a if it was the NFL or Major League Baseball, you've got a players union that negotiates that in. I don't think we'll ever get there to a point
we're not going to get there.
Yeah, I don't think so.
What is DJ doing? I mean,
I'm banking on him flipping that switch.
What is he doing?
I don't know. But I want to be here for when that switch gets flipped, just like a year ago. Remember how good he got in the playoffs? I'm going to go through the fall and I'm going to dominate. I'm hoping. But this is more about Morikawa than it is about DJ and getting that number. I think Morikawa is going to struggle again. I really do.
This time last year, Dustin shot 30 under the week before at
Boston.
BMW. Came rolling in, played great again, tied Rahm. Rahm dropped the bomb in the playoff to get him. I mean, and then Dustin just goes on and wins, the whole thing the following week. Dustin had more wins, but I think we're seeing and was playing at a level that was the most impressive that we've seen for a long time.
Agreed.
And I think Rahm is playing at that level right now.
Agreed.
And I think he needs to get another win, in there to validate that. He is the defending champion, but I think that's where Rahm is right now. It just looks easy. It just looks like autopilot, just like he pushes a button and his body just responds.
Does it look like
the driver and the 7-iron and the wedge? It all looks the same.
I agree with everything. I can't even. I would be foolish to even say anything against what you're saying. I really thought that having a baby for JonRahm would hurt him, because we all know what it takes when you have a newborn. Even if you like to say, the wife's going to be up feeding her or him.
Yeah,
you're still going to be up. But he's been better, even with COVID twice and not playing. I think it's just one of the more remarkable stories we've seen with how he's performing based off what he's been through. You're right. He's the best player in the world.
Yep.
All right, let's go matchup number 2 for Travis Fulton. Who do you got?
I think this is a big week for Daniel Berger. You look at not only the playoffs, but you look at the Ryder Cup implications as well. And these guys are looking at this. Finau secured his spot last week. He made it very easy on Stricker. But I think Berger's the bubble guy right now. Patrick Reed, with his bilateral pneumonia, there's a lot of questions there. Like, we hope he gets back healthy, but that's a serious deal. So there's a question mark with Reed and where he's going to be. But I think Berger it's not guaranteed right now for him. And he's got a couple guys in Webb and Scheffler right behind him. If they go out and play well, and if they win this week, I think Berger's out. So I think Berger, he knows that. He's playing. I don't think he's getting. Well, I think he's getting a lot out of his game, but I feel like he probably thinks, I need to win one of these. I can't believe I haven't won one of these over the last month and a half. 8th at the Open, 5th at the WGC, hit the ball brilliantly. His iron game has been exceptional. He's driving the ball well. His putter last week, minus 5.7. So you can kind of chalk up that T56 to the putter, but the driving in the iron game is really good. So can Berger come in and elevate his game and secure a spot, not only at East Lake, but secure a spot on that Team USA? I think it's a big week for Berger, just like it was a big week last week for Finau. Mm-hmm. We needed to see a win from Finau. It just needed to be something other than the Puerto Rico Open, right? And it was the Northern Trust, and he just slam dunked it. I think we need to see the next step now for Berger, right? Another win outside of Memphis. And I think this is a great opportunity for him to go in and play well. I like him over Hideki. You know, Hideki's a little bit up and down right now. I think Berger rises to the occasion, and I'm getting some money out of it, plus 115.
I don't like this play, and I'll tell you why. Well, Daniel Berger suffers from the fact that he's so underrated and people don't talk about him. That benefits him on any given week. But then when he gets to the Ryder Cup discussion, it hurts him because nobody talks about Daniel Berger and how good he has become. Matsuyama, though, when people look at his finish, they'll go, oh, he just finished like 7 under. That wasn't the story for Hideki Matsuyama. If it wasn't for the 18th hole, he would have finished at 17 under par. It was triple, 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 like 3 days in a row. He was 3 over in the final 2 holes 3 days in a row. That's 9 shots. He would have had a top 10 finish. He hit it really well last week. That's why I don't like this play. Yeah, because of how he hit it on the literally his last 2 holes cost him.
But you got to play every hole. I mean, every player could say that. They could say, well, if I didn't do this.
Not on one hole. It was one hole. Not the 7th one day, the 12th the other. It was the 18th hole every day. And it cost him because he couldn't fix the right thing. I'm not saying this is a bad pick. I'm saying I don't like it.
You said you didn't like the pick. You said you didn't like it.
I don't like it, but I'm not saying it's a bad pick. I'm just saying I don't like it because Hideki played really well last week. His just score didn't show it. That's all. We're not going to agree on our picks all the time, and we shouldn't. I just don't like this one, but you're probably going to hit it. You've been really good with your matchup lately. Really, really good. All right, I'm going to go my second pick. This guy hit it great last week, and it's also the hardest thing to do in sports and in golf is play well after a win. It's really, really hard to do.
I don't like it.
TonyFinau is not going to play well. Now, I know that Finau did not go out drinking and partying Monday night after the win. I know he didn't do that. But there's only 2 days to respawn from the biggest win of your career. And I think it's really, really hard to get back up when you just cashed $1.8 million and put it in your bank account. So Corey Connors at plus 4,000 for the win, too. I'm going to get to that. I love him this week. He's a great iron player. And when we go to a place that not a lot of the players know, I'm going to lean towards ball strikers. And there's very few that are better right now on the PGA Tour than Corey Connors. Minus 115, lock it in.
Yeah, it's kind of funny on Twitter, right? Like Kisner wins, and then he finishes last the next week, and everybody's like, it's okay. I mean, he was hungover, and it's like, wait a minute. He's trying to get on the Ryder Cup. And if he's serious about getting on the Ryder Cup, and I don't know if he went out and drank and all that, right? It's like, don't you think you should have probably just, I mean, he might have though, but you're right. I mean, Twitter's just a beautiful thing, right? I mean, it's just like their argument is he should be on the team, but it's okay to, it's okay to go ahead and, drink and be hungover. And if you miss a cut this week, that's okay. Get out of here.
Get out of here.
I mean, get out of here.
That means more to them than anything, more than the $15 million. If they're really being honest, the Ryder Cup means that much.
It does. It does. That was a huge win all the way around for Finau. I mean, it just checks every box. You're right on Connors. He's one of the best ball strikers in the game. The dude that can't chip and putt. I mean, it's just like, he's just on an extremely cold run with the wedge and the putter around the greens. The fact of the matter is, if he can chip and putt slightly above PGA Tour average, he probably wins last week.
Mm-hmm. That's how good he hit it.
That's how razor thin this is. He's hitting the ball good enough to win. There's no question about it. The problem is he's got months and months of negative strokes gained around the green and putting coming into this. So I don't know. Maybe he finds gold. Maybe he just figured it out. I wouldn't. And
again, this and for people at home that are maybe new to golf betting, when we do matchups, we discussed this like this, but the bottom line is sometimes it's about the player they're playing against. And my 2 picks this week, Trav, it's about Morikawa and it's about Finau, because I think neither one are going to play well this week. So sometimes I lean towards that. And Corey Connors may not even finish top 10. We don't need him to. Yep. We just need him to beat TonyFinau, which I think Tony's really going to struggle this week.
Well, Finau, I mean, it's 2 days, right? I mean, this is a quick turnaround. All this emotion. I mean, this is a tough ask. I think he'll play fine. And he's just going to have a big old permagrin going around.
That's right.
It won't be walk around and handing $20 bills out. What I would do if I just won all that.
Wouldn't that be amazing? 1.8 million. I would just say, hey, wife, give me $5,000 and 20. Yeah, that'd be amazing. That would be amazing. All right, let's move on. We do a top 20 pick every single week. What name did you look at, Travis? You know what? I love this number. What do you got?
Well, you don't get plus money very often for Bryson. So you got to take it at plus 100. And I think this is a good place for him. You know what I want to see this week, Coach, more than anything?
What's that?
This week, Bryson DeChambeau, I want to see a video posted of you practicing your short game, not hitting your driver.
Okay.
That's what I want to see.
Okay.
I want to see him hitting little bump and runs. I want to see him with TrackMan, gap, and wedges. I want to see him in the bunker hitting finesse shots. I don't care about the driver. I don't care how far you're hitting it. Check. You got those boxes plus 5.2 last week at Northern Trust. You know what you can't do? You can't chip and putt. I'm sorry, you can't chip. Your putting's fine. Let me take a step back. Your putting's fine. But the little shots around the green, the approach of the finesse, it's not there. I want to see some videos of progress working on your short game, not dialing in how far I can hit the driver. I think it's cute and great that you're going to go in the long drive competition the week after the Ryder Cup. I think that's great for the sport. But if you're really looking at your game and you're managing it and we're making calculated scientific decisions, to me, it's plain as day. It's inside 80 yards, finesse wedges, up and down.
Trav, you may want that. You may want that, but I'm unfortunately the holder of information that tells you are not going to get that this week. I spoke to a person very, very close to the situation yesterday, Monday. We're taping this on Tuesday, on Monday. And Bryson is all in on the long drive event to the point of he started training for the long drive event. And so if you're looking for him to, but he's traveling to train with guys.
Yeah, I saw that.
He's sitting at home. Yeah. So it's been more and more. And then there's a lot more videos coming out to promote the event. And I talked to somebody who's involved. They called me to see if I'd be involved. I don't know if I'm going to be involved in it or not, but I can tell you that Bryson's all in. He is all in. Yeah. So we'll see how much that affects his play this week. But it's clearly affecting his game around the green. And then when the announcers, you hear the announcer say, Trav, that he wants to show the world how much better his whole game is than just the driver. Like he had a quote this week as saying that. I'm like, well, if that's the case, then do what Travis wants you to do. Work on the short game and not just have those videos at night of you just pounding drivers out there on the driving range. When everybody else is gone, your poor new caddy is sitting there half asleep. That poor guy. That poor guy. I don't know why he signed up to be his caddy other than he'll make a lot of money. That's true. All right. My top 20 is a guy that's hitting great. There's a theme to my picks this week. Yeah. Dominant ball striker. Since I don't know a lot about this course, I'm going to go with Shane Lowry. He had another good week, kind of stumbled on Sunday a little bit, still had a top 20 finish. And a top 20 finish this week is not nearly as difficult as it was last week with 55 less players in the field. And I'm getting plus money on an open champion, a guy who's playing really good. His irons are dialed in, coming up a top 20. I think Shane Lowry cashes another top 20 at plus money. I'm here for it. Lock it in.
I think it's a good pick. I was on Lowry last week. He's playing some nice golf, 11th at the Northern Trust. His iron game has been really special, really, really clean, good short game. Putter's been okay. His driver is what gets him a little bit out of position at times, but I'll tell you what, very underrated iron player here the last couple months has been Shane Lowry. I think it's a good play. I think he keeps it going.
I am shocked that Travis Fulton actually agreed with one of
It's about time you stepped up.
It warms my heart. It warms my heart. All right, it's time to pick our winners. And this is the hardest thing to do in all of golf betting, is to find that needle in a haystack and pick that winner. Just look at what happened on Sunday. 50-1, TonyFinau. How many people that held that ticket did I get tweets from saying, Coach, I cashed out early. I was scared. And they would have had a 50-1.
Yep.
What do you like this week, Trav?
Well, I was disappointing with Scheffler last week. I thought that was a great place for him. I think Scheffler's one of those guys on that line as well. But I'm gonna go back to old trusty Justin Thomas, who, most of the year has struggled with the putter in particular. Went back to a putter that he had when he was young, seemed to make a difference. Finally, we saw some putts go in, particularly on Thursday. I was impressed with the way he drove the ball last week. His iron games usually are always on point. And then the putter coming in, it felt like a really good step for JT last week, like a step that he needed to take. I mean, you're seeing an uncharacteristic run of golf here through the summer from Justin Thomas, who's one of the best players in the world. So for him to finish fourth, for him to drive the ball as well as he did, putt the ball as well as he did, those are two things we hadn't seen kind of go together in quite some time. I think this is a good spot for him. We saw a little glimpse of it on Thursday. Like all of a sudden it was like, there he goes. Like he just started birdieing everything.
I thought about you when he was going berserk on Thursday.
Dropping bombs from 60 feet. And you just, here we go. And he cooled off a little bit, but obviously you can't maintain that. But that's what Justin does. Like it was like the first time we've seen it. So I think he leaves Jersey and he's going to Maryland, and I think he's probably feeling as good as he has felt about his game, Coach, in months. I
agree.
So I'm going to roll with that. Bent grass greens here. I'm going to go JT to get himself in the mix now, right? Because he hasn't been in the mix. He hasn't been in discussion, to get himself elevated up there with the ROMs as we head to East Lake. JT plus 20, 70-person field, plus 2,000. That's not bad.
No, it's fantastic. And he can thank the JonRahm dominance as the reason that this number is so good. Plus 2,000 would be a good number in a full field. In a field of 70, it's a phenomenal number. And he channeled his inner Dirty Dancing over the weekend, calling his putter baby. I got baby back in the bag. Courtesy of a young fan who basically asked him, how come you're not putting with the putter that you won all those times with? And it always boggles my mind. Tiger Woods did it. Justin Thomas did it. You win all these times. You go, you know what? Let's put you up in the garage and start with something new. Why? Why would you do that when you win so many times with a great putter? So I don't mind this play. Sometimes it's about value, and he's got value and the talent. So I like it. My winner, I kind of already prefaced this a couple of minutes ago. I love at plus 4,000, a guy who was in the mix at the Northern Trust. It seems like he's in the mix all the time. And to Travis's point, though, when you're watching, as we all do, if you're traveling around, you look at PGAtour.com, and all of a sudden it's like, he just doubled? What happened? And then you go back into it, and you go, oh, bad chip, hitting the bunker, whatever. But when he is striping it, he is a birdie machine. You give me plus 4,000 and a field of 70, lock this in, Trav.
I don't know. The only thing with Connors that concerns me is the big up and down. Like, okay, plus 20, I'll give it or top 20. All right. But to win with this kind of field, you just got to have it all. And if I had to have a guy get the ball up and down to save my life, this is a name that
you wouldn't call him? Cam Smith would be number one on the speed dial, and then everybody else. Can you imagine?
I'd be like, Spieth,
I'm dying.
Spieth,
I need a 10-footer.
Cam. And then we just keep going, the list wouldn't even go that long. It just wouldn't. And I like Corey Connors. Very nice. Derek Ingram, who's up there, his coach in Canada, and they're great. I love Connors. But get the ball up and down.
You just pulled what I call pulling a Stephen A. Smith. When I worked with him at ESPN, he's a classic. I love Corey Connors. Corey Connors is a good dude. Yeah. Good family. Good team. But he's got to have a short game. Short game stuff. But I love him. That's what he does with
short game.
He doesn't want anybody to hate him.
Like short game, it's interesting. Like on tour, I think like people think you have to have a great short game to win on the PGA Tour. I don't know. I mean, like, I think there's tournaments where, like, I think you can move around it. I think short game's like down the list. You got to be great in iron game. Like, you got to win in strokes gain approach, right?
Every week. Or if
distance is right there with it. You got distance only going to help that, closer to the hole, tighter proximities. We know those things work. All right. Then the putter's got to cooperate some weeks. And then usually, like, under that, it's short game when you look at really how the winners are doing it. Now, obviously, it's comparatively speaking to the best players in the world. He's got compared to you and I, he's got a great short game.
But he's not playing you and I, is he? That's right.
Compared to the field, right? That's the difference, like sustaining those rounds, getting it up and down to keep it at 5 under and not drop 1 to 4, right? After he just made 4 birdies in a row. That's my question mark with Connors in elite fields on courses like that. Can he do that? We'll have to wait and see. I hope he can, because I enjoy watching him play. The dude is a stripe show driver iron.
I agree. When you multiply those 1 strokes on Thursday, Friday, all of a sudden now you have what happened on Monday. He loses by 5 shots. Right. That's what happens when you drop 1 in every round. You lose by 4 or 5. So if he can eliminate those, he could have a good week. All right, we got room for one more really good best bet. We like to call it a wild card. Could be any bet on the card. What do you like?
I just gave you guff on Corey Connors, and I went all the way down to the bottom.
This isn't bad, though. I don't hate this.
The best odds that we can. Remember, this is the top 70 players, folks, on the tour. So Hudson Swafford right now, you're not going to get a bigger number than this, top 20. Plus 11 under. Oh, dare I say he was in the top 20 last week. Probably similar number, too, at the Northern Trust. Look, Hudson was on this really good podcast last week. It's called the Stripe Show on Wednesday. And he was talking about his game, and he was talking about some of the changes that he made. He needed to kind of see something different. He went from longtime coach Scott Hamilton to John Tillery, and he gets the face a little open. He's got to get it more square, and he's done that. And all of a sudden, Hudson Swafford, last 2 weeks, ball striking machine. We're talking like Corey Connors numbers. He hit it last week better than he's hit it all year, statistically. Off the tee, +7, approach +5. He hadn't even sniffed that. So, all right, speaking of not getting the ball up and down, like we need to get, but we're only going top 20 here.
That's true.
And not a win. So I like Hud. Why not? Georgia Bulldog. Have you ever seen Hudson Swasser and Harris English in the same room, by the way?
I think they're long lost brothers. Maybe not so long lost, to be honest. I don't know.
Plus 1,100. Why not?
You know, so I think sometimes we get caught up in how serious people like it to be. Like people are like, well, what's our hardcore bets? Betting is also supposed to be fun. And sometimes having fun is making a play like this and rooting for a long shot that isn't necessarily a long shot.
Yep.
He only has to beat 50 guys at plus 1,100. That is incredible. We love the V word in betting, value, because one thing I try to pound home on my daily show to people, you're going to lose 45% of the time. So when you win, and that's with a really good capper. So if you can win bets like this makes up for other bets that you lose, and that allows you to raise your bank account. Sometimes you got to do a long shot when it makes sense. And this makes sense. Everybody was in the field last week. That is in the field this week, right? And Hudson finished 11th and lost 3.5 putting. So do that math. You know, he's playing good. He's hitting the ball really good. And it's like one of the, you get on those runs, you switch it up, all of a sudden you find something and it's like, damn, like the face is square. The path is there right down the middle on the green. It's 1,100 for a reason. And the reason is Hudson historically is not that elite type of striker. His short game can be a little iffy. His putting can be up and down. So comparable to the other players. But I like the heater that he's on. He was on my in my fantasy contest last week, did very well for me. So I'm going to go a little higher on him. I'm going to put some top 20 money on him. I wish players would look more at what happens in the playoffs than they do, because I think there's a reason why players play really well in the playoffs, because they're guaranteed mentally to have 3 weeks in a row. I wish more players say, you know what, I'm going to do pockets of 3, because it's hard when you just do 2. A lot of players do 2 week off, 2 week off. There's a reason why DJ played well last year. There's a reason why Billy Horschel, the year he won 2 of the events. Because you know mentally what you're preparing yourself for. And I think that's a big, big deal. I wish more players in the regular season would take that tact. All right.
The other thing, Coach, real quick. Hudson went from 56 to 40 last week. He was 56 going in, and then he came out as 40. So if he can have that kind of week again, he'll get inside the top 30. So Hudson is motivated. Hudson Swafford getting in the top 30 would be quite the accomplishment.
That'd be like somebody else winning the FedEx Cup. That's how far he's fallen off the last few years. Yeah. So this would be a big deal for him. Mm-hmm. And again, the points are almost doubled or tripled or whatever they are. And it's a bunch. They've changed it over the years. So, but what I understand is that, and we were talking about this on the First Cut on CBS yesterday about how people complain because of the point system. And I say this, every other sport, when you get to the playoffs, the teams that are the hottest, they're the ones that advance. That's the way playoffs are supposed to be. You're supposed to, whoever's the hottest goes on and they win. Wildcard teams win the Super Bowl for a reason. They're playing the best, even if they're a wildcard team. So the playoffs should be this way. The best players playing the best should advance. Yep. And I think that's why they've got it right. So Hudson Swafford, I love this play. Love this play. I think I'm going to actually sprinkle a little bit on it myself. All right, my wild card pick. I'm going with a guy who's been severely under the radar. The last 2 weeks he's played great. Made it to the playoffs at the Wyndham. Last week quietly was right there, 4 or 5 shots back for most of the weekend. And that, of course, is Kevin Na. Plus 150, top 20. This dude, you talk about a ball striking machine. You talk about a guy that is a magician around the greens and with the putter. That's Kevin Na. To me, this was easy. This guy's playing great. Top 20 plus money. Lock it in.
Yeah, he's had a good year. He's currently 18th right now, heading into this week in the FedEx. Kevin Na is just, pound for pound, guy gets the most out of it. There's no question about it. I mean, he gives up a tremendous amount of length, and to be as good as he is just huge praise to his craft, man, and how he manages himself around the golf course. And I wouldn't be one bit surprised. And he'll be heading to East Lake for sure.
All right. Before we get out of here, because normally we end the show with Travis giving his final thoughts on this week. We're going to do a full Ryder Cup preview in a few weeks, but with the timely news, and you already kind of touched on a little bit, Patrick Reed having the bilateral pneumonia, which sounds incredibly painful, in the hospital, still in the hospital. We had a discussion. I want to get your take on it too, because I do not feel the way he's played, especially when he's going to have a lot of weight loss. We know that when you have something like this, you're talking 10, 20, sometimes 30 pounds a person can lose. I don't think he deserves to be on the Ryder Cup team, and I don't think he should be on the Ryder Cup team for more reasons than just he's going to be out of shape. His game's going to be out of shape. I don't think he's a fit, and I think now Steve Stricker's got to make a statement that it's got to be important again to put the right players on the team, not just guys that in theory have been good before. He's only had 1 point the last 2 events, the Ryder Cup and the President's Cup event. How do you feel about that?
Well, I think his health really puts a big wrench in things here, right? Because he's not going to be playing, to your point, the health loss and all of that. So if Stricker was looking for an out, I think this is a situation where he could certainly look at that, right? I mean, first and foremost, Reed, look, bilateral pneumonia is serious stuff. So he's going to be in the hospital and treating that, and hopefully we get a speedy recovery from him first and foremost. But I think when you look at the implications of that, I think you certainly got to lean that Reed is going to be out now. I think you certainly would have to lean that way without him playing this stretch run and showing that he's in good form and those types of things, because all of this is important. This is the last week. And then he makes the pick after the Tour Championship. So I think saying that, I think it really puts more security for Cantlay. I think Cantlay is certainly going to secure a spot. And I think it's good news for Berger as well, who I think is still a little bit on that hot seat with guys like Webb, Scheffler, and even Kokrak. I'm kind of a Burns homer. What if Burns wins this thing this week? Right? What does that mean? I guess you could make the case for Kisner. If he wins it this week, 2 of the last 3 he wins. I mean, he's making a pretty strong case, right? So I think there's some guys, if they came up and win, it would make it tough on Berger if Patrick Reed would have been playing through this week, because I do think Reed would have been on the team. I do. But considering where he's at, it feels like now there's that 1 to 1.5 spot open.
Yeah, it does.
Versus just one.
I think if we really do the research, and we did it yesterday, everybody's like, oh, he's a great Ryder Cup player. He really hasn't been the last few years. He was at one time with Jordan Spieth, but that was several years ago. But we'll get into all this in depth on our Ryder Cup preview coming up in just about a month here on Cash Out with the Coaches. All right. Week number 2. We're just 2 days away. I love 3 straight weeks of meaningful golf. We got you set. We have you prepared. Also, take this information. If you don't have these matchups at your book, use the information to attach them to other matchups that you do have. We want everybody to play, and remember to have fun. He's Trav. I'm the coach. Remember, every single week, thank you to our incredible partners at SportsPub Media. Give them a follow on social media as we continue to build this brand and build this business. If you're going to cash out with the Coaches. Good luck.
See you.
Hey guys, what's good? This is the Coach. You may know me from PGA Tour Live, the Golf Channel, or even ESPN. I wanted to interrupt this YouTube video real quick to tell you how to get the best and most entertaining golf betting content every single week, and it's all for free. It's called Cash Out with the Coaches. I've teamed up with legendary golf instructor Travis Fulton, and he's also a PGA Tour insider, to bring you the unscripted, unfiltered PGA Tour betting talk and analysis. All you have to do is subscribe to SportsPub's new channel, and you'll get access to our Cash Out with the Coaches show before every single PGA Tour event. You can also play along with the Coaches, too. We don't hold anything back on this free show. And all you have to do is subscribe to SportsPub's channel with the button on the video, and you'll have access to every single show. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. Can't wait to see you on the channel.